Good morning, students. Today, through this video lesson, we are going to discuss History chapter Nazism and the rise of Hitler. Adolf Hitler was the leader of Germany from 1933 to 1945. During his government, Germany was called as Nazi Germany. Nazi Germany followed the ideology called Nazism or National Socialism that promoted violent practices to restore German pride. Through this video lesson, we are going to learn after First World War, what was the condition of Germany? How Hitler came to power? These all things we are going to discuss in this chapter. This lesson explains the rise of Hitler and his art propaganda, the areas on which he concentrated to make Germany a world power. Before entering to the lesson, dear students, I would like to share a small story. Let us start. In the spring of 1945, a little 11 years old German boy called Helmut was laying in bed when he overheard his parents discussing something in serious tones. His father was a prominent physician, and he deliberated with his wife whether the time had come to kill the entire family or if he should commit suicide alone. The next day, he took his family to the woods where they spent their last happy time together. Later, the next day, Helmut's father showed himself in his office. That means he committed suicide. After this incident, Helmut reacted by refusing to eat at home for the following 9 years. He was afraid that his mother might poison him. Although Helmut may not have realized all that it meant, his father had been a Nazi and a supporter of Adolf Hitler. Many of you will know something about the Nazis and Hitler. You probably know of Hitler's determination to make Germany into a mighty power and his ambition of conquering all of Europe. Let us try and understand what Nazism was all about. In May 1945, Germany surrendered to the Allies. Allies means the Allied powers were initially led by the UK and France. In 1941, they were joined by the USSR and USA. They fought against the Axis power, namely Germany, Italy, and Japan. Germany conducted during the war especially those actions which came to be called crime against humanity. In this chapter, chapter 3, Nazism and the rise of Hitler, we have to go through following main points. Birth of the Weimar Republic, Treaty of Versailles, the effects of the war, political radicalism and economic crisis, the years of depression, defects of Weimar Republic, Hitler's rise to power, the destruction of democracy, police force, reconstruction, the Nazi world view, the radical utopia, youth in Nazi Germany, the Nazi cult of motherhood, the art of propaganda, crisis against humanity, knowledge about the Holocaust. These are the main points we have to discuss through this chapter. Let us start, my dears. Students, just to go through this map of Europe and just to find out where Germany is located. Under the shadow of the Second World War, Germany had waged a genocidal war. Genocidal war means killing on large scale leading to destruction of large section of people, which resulted in the mass murder of selected groups of innocent civilians of Europe. The number of people killed included 6 million Jews, 2 lakhs gypsies, 1 million Polish civilians, 70,000 Germans who were considered mentally and physically disabled. Besides, innumerable political opponents also were killed. Birth of Weimar Republic. Germany, a powerful empire in the early years of the 20th century, fought the First World War 1914 to 1918 alongside the Austrian Empire and against the Allies. Allies means included England, France and Russia. All joined the war enthusiastically, hoping to gain from a quick victory. Germany made initial gains by occupying France and Belgium. However, the Allies, strengthened by the US entry in 1917, won, defeating Germany and the Central Powers in November 1918. The defeat of Imperial Germany and the abdication of the Emperor gave an opportunity to parliamentary parties to recast German polity. A national assembly met at Weimar and established a democratic constitution with a federal structure. This public, however, was not received well by its own people, largely because of the term it was forced to accept after Germany's defeat at the end of the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles was the primary treaty produced by the Paris Peace Conference at the end of World War I. It was signed on June 26, 1919 by the Allied and Associated Power and by Germany in the Hall of Mirrors in the Palace of Versailles. Germany lost its overseas colonies and tenth of its population. 13% of its territories, national territories, and 70% of its iron and 26% of its coal. The Allied powers demilitarized Germany to weaken its power. The war killed close held Germany responsible for the war and damages the Allied countries suffered. Germany was forced to pay compensation amount 6 billion. The Allied armies also occupied the resources from their countries. The war had a devastating impact on the entire continent, both psychologically and financially. Europe turned into one of debtors. The Republic carried the burden of war guilt and national humiliation and was financially crippled by being forced to pay compensation. Those who supported the Weimar Republic, mainly socialists, Catholics, and Democrats, became easy targets of attack in the conservative nationalist circles. They were mockingly called the November criminals. Soldiers came to be placed above civilians. Politicians and publicists laid great stress on the need for men to be aggressive, strong, and masculine. The media glorified trench life. Soldiers lived miserable lives in these trenches. Aggressive war propaganda and national honor occupied center stage in the public sphere. While popular support grew for conservative dictatorships that had recently came to being, democracy was indeed a young and fragile idea, while could not survive the instabilities of interwar Europe. The birth of the Weimar Republic coincided with the revolutionary uprising of the Spartacist League on the pattern of Bolshevik revolution in Russia. The political atmosphere in Germany was charged with demands for Soviet style governance. The anarchist Spartacists later founded the Communist Party of Germany. Both revolutionaries and militant nationalists craved for radical solutions. The political instability in Germany paved the way for Hitler. Political radicalization was heightened by the economic crisis of 1923. Germany had fought the war largely on loans and had to pay were reparations in gold. In 1923, Germany refused to pay, and the French occupied its leading industrial area, Ruhr, to claim their coal. Germany retaliated with passive resistance and printed paper currency recklessly. As the value of the mark means German currency, collapsed, prices of goods soared. Germans had to carry cartloads of currency notes to buy a loaf of bread was widely published, evoking worldwide sympathy. This crisis came to be known as hyperinflation, a situation when prices rise phenomenally high. Eventually, the Americans intervened and bailed Germany out of the crisis by introducing the Dawes Plan, which revoked the term of reparation to ease the financial burden on Germans. The years between 1924 to 1928, the German financial condition saw some stability. Yet, this was built on sand. German investments and industrial recovery were totally dependent on short term loans, largely from the USA. This support was withdrawn when the Wall Street Exchange crashed in 1929. Wall Street Exchange, the name of the world's biggest stock exchange located in the USA. This was the start of the Great Economic Depression. Factories shut down, exports fell, farmers were badly hit, and speculators withdrew their money from the market. The effect of this recession in the US economy were felt worldwide. The German economy was the worst hit by the economic crisis. By 1932, industrial production was reduced to 40% of the 1929 level. Workers lost their jobs or were paid reduced wages. The number of unemployed touched an unprecedented 6 million. The economic crisis created deep anxieties and fear in people. The middle class, especially salaried employees and pensioners, saw their savings diminish when the currency lost its value. Small businessmen, the self employed, and retailers suffered as their business got ruined. These sections of society were filled with the fear of proletarianization, an anxiety of being reduced to the ranks of the working class, or worse still, the unemployed. Politically, too, the Weimar Republic was fragile. The Weimar Constitution had some inherent defects which made it unstable and vulnerable to dictatorship. One was proportional representation. This made achieving a majority by any one party a near impossible task, leading to a rule by coalitions. Another defect was Article 48, which gave the president the powers to impose emergency, suspend civil rights, and rule by decree. People lost confidence in the democratic parliamentary system, which seemed to offer no solution. The Weimar Republic defects. Second point, economic and social crisis happened. Price of bread increased. Unemployment, humiliation caused unrest situation in Germany. No solution sought by Weimar Republic. So people lost faith in Weimar Republic. The third and fourth point is Treaty of Versailles and native democracy. The Treaty of Versailles crippled Germany financially. Most of the territories lost. War damages and fine along with war guilty was affected. And it was the end of imperial rule, and the National Assembly was in infant stage.
Okay dear students, this is the end of part 1. Thank you very much.